side with Bitcoin miners and the entire crypto community in Texas and all across the country. Adam, thank you for the great hospitality. Thank you. Adam, you're a New Yorker who came to Texas, who's enduring an Austin summer heat. So thank you for being in the land of freedom. I will say these facilities are amazing. I will tell you, next time you host politicians here, if you do the speeches in the hot room, the speeches will be much shorter. And candidly, I haven't seen that much hot air generated since I was in Congress. Listen, I'm really proud to be here to say thank you to all the men and women gathered here. I am incredibly bullish on Bitcoin and on crypto writ large. Texas is, and I want Texas even more, to be the oasis for Bitcoin mining across the face of the globe. Look, what do you need to have an environment that's hospitable to Bitcoin mining? Number one, you need an atmosphere that welcomes entrepreneurs. Listen, the great state of Texas, we were founded by a bunch of wildcatters who were guys with fourth grade educations that began one after another drilling holes in the ground. And one after the other, they became the richest men on earth. And in my view, that's the fundamental DNA of what it means to be a Texan. That love of freedom, that frontier mentality of give me a horse and a gun and an open plain, and I can conquer the world. Bitcoin miners are entrepreneurs. Bitcoin's about a lot of things, but front and center, it's about freedom. I feel confident that I'm not the only person here that doesn't trust the federal government. You know, a government big enough to give you everything is a government big enough to take everything from you. And you look at the rise of Bitcoin, an awful lot about it is entrepreneurs that want independence, that want freedom, that don't want to be dependent on a bunch of politicians in Washington printing money all day long and all night long and inflating the currency and devaluing the value of our savings and our assets. And Bitcoin is digital gold. It's the ability to have an alternative store of value as a hedge against the idiocies of government. What else do you need? You need abundant and low-cost energy. Bitcoin mining doesn't work without energy and a whole lot of energy. And there's no place on planet Earth better for abundant, low-cost energy than the great state of Texas. Woo! And you need an attitude. If I would sum up the attitude of the Bitcoin community to government, it's leave me the hell alone. That is a phenomenally Texan approach to things. Our state gets that fundamentally. Look, I've been proud to be the leading advocate of Bitcoin and crypto writ large in the United States Senate. And I got to tell you, there are a lot of voices in Washington that want to regulate the living daylights out of Bitcoin. They look at everyone here and they see people escaping the clutches of government. And I gotta say, there's some in the Bitcoin community who I think have a bit of a utopian view of we don't need to worry about what happens in Washington. We're just gonna we're gonna mine away and we'll be fine. Well, I'll tell you, there is one force on planet Earth strong enough to destroy crypto, and that is the United States federal government. And at the end of the day, it is not complicated. Why does Elizabeth Warren Bitcoin for the very same reason that communist China hates Bitcoin, because they cannot control it. That happens to be precisely the reason that I love Bitcoin. I don't want the federal government able to control your finances. I don't want the federal government able to control your lives. The best check on government power, the best deterrent to tyranny, is an empowered and engaged citizenry that stands on its own 2 feet. Elections are about choices. And in this election, you have my word, I will continue to fight for Bitcoin and crypto and freedom. And listen, as Lee mentioned, not only am I bullish on Bitcoin, but I'm an investor and I'm a Bitcoin miner. I own 3 miners right now in Iran, Texas. That's with 2 A's in West Texas. So don't write a story that I'm in Tehran. Different Iran. But I've got 3 miners that are hashing right now. And Adam, I gotta say, after walking through the data center, my 3 miners, I'm not sure I've ever felt so weak and ineffective. But you know, much like that children's story, I think I can. My 3 miners are hashing away. And I hope this time next year to have a lot more than 3. But it is an amazing hedge against government. And it's also, let me talk for a minute about the politicians that want to shut this down, and they argue, well, this is using energy. And energy's bad, so we ought to stop using energy. Well, I'll tell you one of the incredible things Bitcoin is doing for the state of Texas, which is enhancing the resiliency of our grid. Listen, as y'all know, electricity is incredibly difficult to store. A grid in any state has to balance power generation with power consumption. And there's very little margin for error. But we also know that there are emergency events, weather events, whether it gets way too hot or way too cold. And suddenly the demands for energy spike. And sometimes those weather events coincide with electricity generation plummeting. You look at electricity that is generated from wind and solar. You know, it's interesting. California likes to talk a lot about wind energy, but Texas leads the country, is the #1 generator of wind energy. But in a bad weather event, in a winter storm, in a freeze, often the windmills don't blow and the solar panels aren't generating energy. And so energy production drops at the same time that people are desperately needing energy to either heat their homes or cool their homes. What Bitcoin presents is an opportunity in real time to enhance the resiliency of our grid. Because you can think of Bitcoin miners as a giant battery. That if we have a weather emergency, y'all have the ability to shut these miners off in a matter of seconds. And suddenly the electricity that right now is generating value in a time of emergency can go to keep people's homes hot or cold depending on what the emergency, can go to power hospitals, can go to power nursing homes. Bitcoin is a reservoir of power, a safety blanket for the state of Texas. It is my hope in the coming years that the Bitcoin community in Texas is twice as large, 3 times as large, 5 times as large, 10 times as large, 1,000 times as large. And I have every confidence that the entrepreneurs here are going to be driving that effort. So I'll close the way I started, to say I am proud to stand with the Texas Blockchain Council. I'm proud to stand with Bitcoin miners and all of crypto in the state of Texas. I will say also, as you see Bitcoin fleeing oppressive governments, whether it's the Chinese communists who banned Bitcoin or left-wing state governments who want to destroy it, we see Bitcoin coming to states like Texas and Florida and Idaho and North Dakota. And you know what? That's good. I want competition. I want Florida to fight Texas to see who can be the best environment for Bitcoin mining. I want them to fight. It doesn't matter. We'll whip their ass. But competition is good. If we were the only game in town, that would not be good. But having jurisdictions competing to say, we're going to be the most welcoming environment possible for Bitcoin and crypto, that's powerful. And I'm proud to continue to lead that fight each and every day. God bless Bitcoin, but God bless crypto, and God bless the great state of Texas. Campaign team. I am, in fact, in the midst of a campaign. We are less than 90 days away from Election Day. And so I would say, number one, to every Texan here, if you want to continue to have a senator that fights for Bitcoin, that fights for crypto, come out and vote, get your friends to vote, get your colleagues to vote, get your family to vote. And number two, support our campaign. Chuck Schumer has been explicit on his